So sea waves are always generated in a succession. एक के बाद एक wave आती रहती है. Tide is a phenomena that takes place in response to the gravitational force of sun and moon. When the depth of water is approximately half of its wavelength, the wave begins to feel the bottom. The nature of sea wave depends upon the velocity of wind. Direct question. इसमें कुछ है ही नहीं. So hello friends, as we were discussing the previous year's question paper, we'll continue with that. Next question is, what are the fundamental differences among ocean waves, ocean current and tides? The ocean waves, ocean current और tides में क्या fundamental difference है? What is the fundamental difference? Now see, ocean waves are just ripples on the sea surface. These ripples are created by the frictional drag that the wind blowing over the ocean surface exerts on the ocean. Sea waves are the smallest, in fact, phenomena, oceanic phenomena. Sea waves are generated because of the frictional drag of the wind that is blowing over the oceanic surface. They are in the form of ripples. Now, when the wind is blowing over the oceanic surface, the extent over which the wind blows is known as fetch. Depending upon the extent over which the wind is blowing, the nature of sea wave is determined. Now, when we study sea waves, they have wavelength and they have wave height. Sea waves have wavelength and wave height. Suppose this is sea. Sea waves, this is the wavelength and this is the wave height. Now, these are the result of frictional drag. Sea is extensive. Suppose Atlantic Ocean is there, it is extensive because of wind blowing over the oceanic surface. These blowing winds exert frictional drag. Because of this frictional drag, water ripples are created. Ripples are created having a particular wavelength and wave height. These are known as sea waves. Now, since wind is blowing over a limited extent, so sea waves envisage only transfer of energy, not water. As the sea wave travel, it is the horizontal transfer of kinetic energy and potential kinetic energy of the wind that generates the sea waves. And these sea waves, as they move, they transfer energy. But water does not move horizontally. Sea waves does not envisage horizontal movement of water. Rather, water moves in a circular orbital path. So sea wave envisages only transfer of energy rather than water. Now, the nature of sea wave depends upon the velocity of wind. What is the velocity? And what is the extent of fetch? Extent of fetch means how long it is blowing over the oceanic surface. If the wind is of high velocity and it is blowing over oceanic surface for over long duration, then the wave height and the wavelength of the wave is more. Now, as these sea waves approach the shore, as they approach the shore, they witness increase in their height and decrease in their wavelength. The wave height increases and the wavelength decreases. As the wave approaches the coast, its wave height increases, wavelength decreases. And when it comes sufficiently close to the coast, where the depth of water as it approaches the coast, the depth of water decreases. The depth of water decreases. When the depth of water is half of its wavelength, when the depth of water is approximately half of its wavelength, the wave begins to feel the bottom. And that place is known as plunge line. When the wave begins to feel the sea surface, it is known as plunge line. At that place, the waves topple, wave breaks. And once the wave breaks at the plunge line, thereafter the forward moving current carries the horizontal water. Horizontal movement of water begins when this wave topples or wave breaks at the plunge line. Then the horizontal movement of water takes place in the form of surf, swash, or uprush current and impacts on the coast with huge force, leading to erosion of the coastal sediment as well as deposition of sediment along the coast. So sea waves are always generated in a succession. एक के बाद एक wave आती रहती है and the strength of the wave depends upon the velocity and the extent over which the wind is blowing. So when the wave begins to feel bottom at the plunge line, then the wave breaks. And when the wave breaks, its potential energy is transformed into kinetic energy. And after the breaking of the wave at plunge line, the horizontal movement of water takes place with great force because this potential energy wave topples over and the potential energy is converted into kinetic energy. So the velocity of Uprush current, swash or surf current is very high, and its impact on the coast with huge force and erodes the coastal material in the form of wave cut platform, the ocean caves, geos, gulf. It also deposits the sediment along the coast in the form of longshore bar, offshore bar, spit, hooks, loop, isn't it? Connecting bar, barrier island. So these sea waves are engaged in erosion and deposition of sediment along the coast. If we compare it to ocean current is a different phenomena. Although ocean currents are also the result of frictional drag of planetary wind. Multitude factors are there that are responsible for the origin of ocean currents, but the most important factor among them is the frictional drag exerted by the planetary winds. Under the impact, planetary winds blow over hundreds of miles. They blow over the ocean's surface for hundreds of miles. Planetary winds are the most extensive wind system. Under the impact of influence of planetary winds, the entire surface layer of water starts moving. The fundamental difference is waves envisage only transfer of energy, not horizontal movement of water. But in case of ocean current, under the influence of planetary winds which blow over hundreds of miles, the upper surface layer of water starts moving horizontally. Ocean currents envisage horizontal movement of surface layer of water under the frictional drag of planetary winds. These ocean currents, uh, as a result of surface layer starts moving, ocean currents are much more extensive. They horizontally they are found over thousands of miles, hundreds of and thousands of miles, and they are very wide. But these ocean currents are not in जैसे ocean waves तो they at plunge line they break and move in the form of swash. Ocean current does not break. They continue to move along the coast. And ocean currents influence the coast by way of altering the weather, the vegetation, and the various economic activities along the coast. Ocean currents are quite different. Like you can see here, we have Atlantic Ocean, we have North Equatorial Current and South, this North Equatorial Current and South Equatorial Current. These are found over extensive areas, and when they reach the coast, they turn southward. In tropics, it turns southward in the form of Brazil Current. It brings with it warm, moist air mass, which causes copious rainfall along the coast of Brazil, and lush green vegetation is there. Suitable condition for agriculture exist. Same is the case with East Australian Current, which is the downward branch of South Equatorial Current. It also causes heavy rainfall to the east of Great Dividing Range. As a result, lush green vegetation, sugarcane cultivation, and dairy farming is done along the eastern coast. So these ocean currents influence the coast by way of modifying their weather, vegetation, and various economic activities. On the eastern side of tropical seas, where these ocean currents are moving away from the coast, they cause huge upwelling. As a result, nutrients are found and fishing is important everywhere along the eastern coast of tropical sea. Eastern coast of tropical sea, these ocean currents are moving away from the coast and they cause upwelling and which is good for fishing. Here you have cold currents because of upwelling of water, and along the coast you have desert like Benguela Desert, here West Australian Desert, here you have Atacama Desert because of upwelling caused by these cold currents. So these currents are a phenomena which are on a much larger scale as compared to sea waves, and they envisage horizontal movement of water. Along with that, ocean currents are not involved in weathering and erosion of the shore coastline. Rather, they are involved in modifying the weather of the coastal areas, vegetation of the coastal areas, and the economic activities of the coastal areas on a very large scale. Now, the third is tide. Tide is a phenomena that takes place in response to the gravitational force of sun and moon. Tides refers to rise and fall of seawater due to tidal force of sun and moon. Tides are the most extensive phenomena, even larger than ocean currents. Tides impact ocean currents का तो influence surface water पे होता है, but tides have their influence felt from sea surface to sea bottom. Tides affect the whole water mass of the sea from surface to bottom. Tidal waves are very large, very long wavelength. In fact, tides are a single wave phenomena. जैसे sea waves होती हैं, they are in the form of succession of waves striking the coast. Tide is a single wave phenomena that stretches all across the ocean, which covers the entire ocean. For example, under the tidal force of sun and moon, seawater rises under the impact of tidal force of sun and moon. Seawater rises, that is known as tidal bulge. Suppose a tidal bulge takes place on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, then entire sea level on this side gets raised and entire sea level on the opposite side of the ocean basin gets lowered. एक ही वेव बनती है पूरे ओशन में. जैसे सी वेव्स तो छोटी छोटी वेव्स होती हैं, दे आर मूव इन सक्सेसिव ट्रेन सक्सेशन. लेकिन इन केस ऑफ टाइड, where the whichever area lies below the moon's meridian, the sea level rises, known as tidal bulge. And as a result of tidal bulge, sea level rises, seawater rises in one part of the ocean basin. On the other part of ocean basin, sea level lowers. So tidal bulge causes upward movement of seawater, that is rise in sea level, in one part of the ocean, and while downward movement on the other side of the same ocean basin, sea level gets lowered. This rise in seawater and its movement towards the coast, यहाँ पर तो seawater rise कर गया, it will move towards the coast, known as coastward transgression. This height, this elevates the sea level. This is known as tide. On this coast where the tidal bulge is created, the sea level has increased, water level has increased. Here the water level is known as high tide level, high tide water. On the other side of the same ocean basin, basically sea level lowers and water recedes towards the sea. That was seaward regression takes place and sea level gets lowered, and that is known as low tide level. So the fundamental difference is the tide is a single wave phenomena, unlike sea waves where multiple waves are generated. And the single wave phenomena influences the water of the entire ocean basin. पूरे ocean basin में everywhere you will find similar single wave, single wavelength, a single wave phenomena that covers the entire ocean. Tides are much extensive, although wave height is not so high, 2 to 4 meters, but their wavelength is very long, very large. A single tidal bulge creates a single wave in the entire ocean. पूरे ocean में एक ही wave बनती है. The rise of sea water and its movement towards the coast is called tide or tide or high tide or flood tide. And the high water level is known as high water tide. While on the other side of the same ocean basin, उसी ocean basin में दूसरी side में sea water lowers down, fall in sea level. That is seaward regression of water takes place, and water level is known as low tide water. Low tide water. So tide is a phenomena that is much more extensive, most extensive phenomena, which not only cover the entire ocean but also impact the sea water from surface to its bottom. So this is the fundamental difference between ocean current, between sea waves, tides, and ocean current, and sea waves, ocean currents, and tides. Now the next question is, how does denudation chronology help in understanding the sequential development of landscape and landform? Direct question, इसमें कुछ है ही नहीं. Denudation chronology simply refers to reconstruction of denudational history of a region. Denudation history क्या होती है? How many cycles of erosion have passed through any region? Study of cycles of erosion passing through any region is known as denudation chronology. How the various surfaces have evolved over the period of time. So the objective of denudation chronology is to study the denudation history of a region. किसी भी एरिया में कितनी cycles of erosion पास हुई हैं. How do we study the denudation history of a region? By way of identifying the various erosional surfaces that have got formed in that region, by way of knowing the dating the various erosional surfaces that are found in any region, and third, by way of interpreting these erosional surfaces, whether they are truly erosional or depositional. Denudation chronology is simply the study of denudational history of a region. Denudational history of a region simply refers to study of the various cycles and subcycles of erosion that have passed through that region. So objective of denudation chronology is to reconstruct the denudational history of a region by identifying the various erosional surface in that region, by dating the various erosional surface in the region, by interpreting the various erosional surfaces of that region that have formed in the geological past by way of various cycles and subcycles of erosion. thereby establishing a theoretical framework of stages through which the evolution of present landscape can be traced. अब समझाते हैं होता क्या है. Now what happens? Suppose any surface is reduced to sea level. That is known as erosional surface. A surface is reduced to sea level because of instability of the earth crust. It does not always remains at the sea level. A segment of this surface gets uplifted. A segment of this surface gets uplifted. And therefore, in present time, erosional surfaces are always found at certain height from the sea level. As this erosional surface gets uplifted, the slope is created, rivers are rejuvenated, and active downcutting of this erosional surface starts taking place. Active downcutting of this erosional surface starts taking place. As a result of this active downcutting and lateral erosion, the various remnants of the previous erosional surface are eroded and dissected. After some time, again upliftment will take place. Again, third cycle, this is has experienced only one cycle of erosion. This landscape has experienced two cycle of erosion, and this again when it gets uplifted, it experiences third cycle of erosion, and the various erosional surfaces got formed during first and second cycle of erosion are further dissected, eroded, and denuded. Now, the objective of denudation chronology is to find out the various surfaces that have got formed, to identify the various surfaces that are found in any region, and to find out the date of those erosion surfaces when they got formed. Now, this approach relies heavily on palimpsest topography. Palimpsest topography is that topography which have undergone various successive cycles of erosion, but it still bear the imprints of the various cycles of erosion that it has passed. It still bear the imprints of the landform which got formed in first, second, and third cycle of erosion. Now, what do we do? First step is to find out to identify the number of erosional surfaces that lie in a particular region. This is done by morphometric techniques, that is altimetric frequency histogram and curve. In any region, if you want to know how many surfaces are there, you need to find out the frequency maxima of altimetric frequency histogram and curve. Every frequency maxima indicates a particular surface, but this does not reveal whether that surface is erosional or depositional. For example, the altimetric frequency histogram and curve, when it was drawn for Balen Basin, it revealed four frequency maxima, and accordingly, four surfaces were found: Kaimur, Riva, Panna, and Transganga. Four surfaces were found in Balen Basin: Kaimur surface, Panna, Riva, and Transganga. There were four frequency maxima. Four frequency maxima were found in Balen Basin, revealing each frequency maxima of altimetric frequency histogram and curve reveals a surface. On field investigation, it was found that Transganga is not erosional, it is depositional. By way of field check, we clarify whether the surface is erosional or depositional. Now, once these surfaces have been identified, superimposed profile is created. Superimposed profile means each of these surfaces are superimposed on a common base. This reveals the duration of cycle of erosion. This will reveal which cycle of erosion has continued for longer duration. Then we try to identify the age of these erosional surfaces. पता चला 3 erosional surfaces हैं. Now we try to identify the age of these erosional surfaces. Age is determined by numerous methods. The most popularly followed method is correlation method. That is, we try to find out the age of erosion surface with respect to that erosion surface whose age is already known. In this correlation method, height correlation method is most popular. Those scattered pieces of erosion surfaces which are lying at the same height are said to be of same age. This assumption is based on the fact that those scattered pieces of erosion surface which are lying at the same height, they are of same age because when they got formed, the surface was continuous. But because of subsequent weathering and erosion by the rivers, these surfaces have been dissected. As a result, now they are found in discrete dissected forms. And critics कहते हैं जरूरी नहीं है कि basically this may be true, maybe because of upliftment or downwarping they have come to occupy the same height. So the proponent of this theory says after tertiary period, uniform uplifting has taken place. As a result, those erosional surfaces which got formed after tertiary period, and which are lying at the same height would be of same age. This is true because after tertiary period only upliftment has taken place, no subsidence. Therefore, those scattered pieces of erosional surfaces which are lying at the same height would have been continuous at the time of formation, and subsequent weathering and erosion would have separated them. So this is how this generation chronology help us in studying, understanding the sequential development of landscape.